Well, there's been big changes at New Mills, so stay tuned and then all will be revealed. Well, good evening everyone and welcome back to Piccadilly. Now, I can honestly say work has started again, but life is in a bit of flux at the moment and things are constantly changing. So I will do what I can and when I can. Well, as you can see now, the platforms have been started and I've got the sidewalls in, well, the basic structure, if you like. So we've got a basic brick paper going down the side, and I will blend that in just down there because obviously this area here, according to the photos, will possibly have some moss attached to that as well. And you can see the same has been done that side. Now this is just 11mm high piece of 2mm grey board. Why 11mm and not 9? Well, the cork is 2mm. So I need to accommodate for that. So the extra 2mm, 9 plus 2. You can't tell I'm a teacher, can you? But anyways, you can see I've just got this sort of cross bracing going on in there. So also the other thing you probably will have noticed is that when I first put this board in, because this board is removable, but you might have noticed there was quite a large gap running through there, and to be honest with you, I don't really want that gap to be there. So what I've done is covered it over with some tape. Now I've used parcel tape on this occasion. My preference would have been masking tape, but I haven't got any, and to be honest with you, I'm not going to go out and buy some just for that little bit. So parcel tape will do the job, and I'm sure it will be absolutely fine. Now my next job is then to paint over all of this structure here, inside and out, particularly down this edge here, with the proprietary varnish I use, which just happens to be that. Many brands are available. This just happens to be my choice. It is basically an acrylic matte varnish, and that will do the job. So if I just spin you around, I'm even then going to paint over this tape, which hopefully then should give it a little bit of grip, if that's the right word. But anyway, I'll get all of this painted and I'll show you shortly. Right, there we go. That's all that. Those platforms now varnished, and you might be thinking, what a sloppy mess. Well, yes, I agree, but I've done it, but all sides, that side, in there, and even down the back. Now, you might be thinking, why? Well, the main reason is because when I come to ballast the track, I'm using a water-based PVA. And obviously, if I don't protect the brick papers particularly, they will get dirty watermarks all over them, and therefore it won't look like the brick it's intended to. But not only that, I stuck down the platforms with a water-based PVA, and I don't want that sort of lifting in any way, shape or form. So putting on the varnish as thickly as I have, it will help to form a seal all the way around. So obviously it won't remain white, obviously, but it will just help to strengthen everything and just sort of seal it all up. So the next stage now, after that, is to start thinking about the platform surface and blending it into this area here. What I'll probably do is do right across. I might even put another 11mm down here so that it's got something extra to sit on. But to be honest with you, there probably will be a bank there. So I'll think about it. I might even use some polystyrene or something, but I'll certainly sort out something there. Okay, so welcome back. So you can see now I've got the platforms in. Now, I'm not going to go through how to mark the edge of the platform, but what I will say is you need to use the longest vehicle that you've got, and in that case, it's my Pendolino coach. Not that the Pendolinos will come up here, but, you know, you just need to be aware. But also, this was a bit of a surprise, actually. The 142 is a bit wider than everything else. So if you've got a 142, just make sure that that goes through as well. And what you do, generally speaking, is you put a pencil against the first corner and draw a line. Keep going, and you'll notice that this front corner's come out at this point. So follow it round like that, and then do it again in the middle, because this is an S shape there. So obviously you need to do both ways, so that the middle part of the coach will take that corner off, if you can see what I'm saying there, and then the middle part of the coach will just determine this curve here, and the same with that side as well. Okay, so there are plenty of videos out there how to shape platforms, but I do it little bit by little bit. I use some wet and dry paper, sandpaper, whatever you want to call it, file, that sort of thing. So don't forget to do the top and bottom edges as well to get rid of any burr, that sort of thing. Once you're happy with it and your longest vehicles and anything like that goes through, then you're ready to stick it down. So I will get... Right, welcome back. So the platforms are all stuck down now, both sides, and they were previously varnished on both sides before I put them down, just like I said before, just to stop any glue from the ballasting going up and sort of damaging them a little bit. Okay, so next stage then, I am going to use some filler. Now I'm going to be using this stuff only because I got this free when I went to Worley a few years ago, and so I might as well. I mean, any filler will do this job, and it's basically just going to level over this surface. So just using a very small putty knife, scraper, whatever you want to call it, and just fill up that little ridge across there like that. Now, I'm not going to make you sit here and watch me do it all, but I do want to get this quite smooth, so I'll show you in a minute. So there we go. Once that's dry, hopefully it shouldn't take very long. Even in the cold weather, I hope it's not going to take very long. Quick sand over that, and then we'll start thinking about some paint. Right, finally on to painting the platforms. Now, to do the base colour, I'm going to use a bit of that, and then using a dabbing action, the tiniest little bit of black, and also down this area here underneath the growth, I am going to use a tiny little bit of green, hardly any, but just enough to indicate a little bit of moss. And then this platform here, I've got to get rid of this line here because the slabs are not as bright as that. They are this side, they're more modern slabs on this edge, but platform 2 is quite old-fashioned in the sense that the slabs are there, but they're not the bright modern slabs, and they still just have a thin white line running down the edge. So I've got to modify all that, so I will end up painting pretty much the whole platform, I think. Anyway, let's make a start. Right, there you go. Bear in mind that there's going to be a bank here. I'm probably not going to do an awful lot more to that. It is a little bit more lumpy than I wanted it to be honest, but do bear in mind that when it's dry, you'll be able to scrape these bits off. I think what I'm going to actually do is just get a mister bottle and just mist over the top, which will then cause it to settle and then create some lovely moulding effects. So the colours will sort of start to blend into each other a little bit, but you can see it's a very mottled surface, which is what tarmac and everything else like that would be. You have got some algae and moss growing down here and a little bit on that side as well, because the whole station is just encased in trees. So that's ready to, apart from this misting I've just mentioned, that's it for the time being. And then once it's dry, I'll then start putting the lines on and the slabs down the sides. Okay, I'll see you in a bit. Right, well, there we go so far then. So you can see now all the paint is now dried, and I've actually put the lining on the platforms as well. So this is just a print off from, I think it was Scale Scenes. I can't remember, to be honest with you. That's what it looks like. So, you know, you just print it off, stick it on. I don't know where I got it from, I'll be honest. But so I've stuck all those on there. So we've got more modern slabs this side and the original slabs as was probably, I don't know, 150 years ago. I don't know when the station was built, but anyway, so that's that. Now, this bank that runs along here. Now, I thought initially it was quite a steep thing, but Apple Maps now have managed to put New Mill Central in 3D. So I've just discovered actually it's quite low, and it sort of creeps across and sort of works its way up here, and then it sort of goes into like a field. So I'm going to sort of estimate that and sort of build it up a little bit more in this corner, and then bank it with some trees behind. But there are trees sort of here behind it, and I will have to sort of pack them up with trees. But there's not quite as much as I thought there was, if I'm honest with you. This side, I need to rebuild this wall because there's like a big alcove sort of here. And then that comes along sort of like that. And there is a bank this side. But again, I'm just sort of going to mould it back sort of like that. So that it becomes part of this whole scene, and then trees will form a barrier. I'm not going to put the back scene back in, but the trees will do the job and separate the two zones, if you like. Okay, so I will crack on with that. Right, so I've started on the next bit. You might be thinking, what an absolute sight. Well, it is at the minute, but that's toilet paper, i.e. and I've literally just screwed it up, glued it down, and then I'll put more layers on the top. I will go over some thicker paper and just build it up and make it look a little bit more suitable, but I do want to come down here with it. When I get to this join here, I will eventually just sort of cut through it to make sure that it does come apart, so I can separate this board out if I need to. But I will carry on working with that, and I'll show you the next bit shortly. All right, welcome back. So things have moved on, as you can perhaps see, and I've put this moulding in right down to this corner. Now, just to explain, I'm not totally sure it was that convincing in the last clip, but I used toilet paper to create the base layer, if you like, and mould, because obviously when you get glue sodden toilet paper, you can mould it, and I used neat PVA for that, so it went off fairly quickly. Then I covered it in toilet paper just to give it a top, but obviously the more you put on top of that, the more it pulls and rips. So once I got the first layer on the top, just to give it some shape, then I went over the top with some newspaper, and as you can see, it's formed quite nicely, and that's, I mean, I won't say it's solid, but it's fairly firm, so I'm really quite pleased with that. I've discovered that this bank, as I've said before, is quite low, and the trees are set ever so slightly behind, so that will work quite well. This is quite sort of shrubby type, you know, sort of weedy, that sort of thing. This bit, all these are just placed. These are the bits I cut out from before, so I've just sort of kind of placed them back in, but you can see I've started to recreate the wall to the correct shape. So the next thing I need to do is to cover that in some brick paper, get it glued on, and then I just need to reform these. I am going to use them again. I might just sort of do something with this bit, make it look a bit better than that. But, you know, these bits I'm quite happy with because they tie in quite nicely. And it's Right, so there we are. That's it for this particular video. So just give you a quick pan round. The wall is now fitted and glued in. I've put some copings on the top. You can make those out, some coping stones. And this is literally just placed, as you can see. It's not glued down in any way, shape or form. If I take you around the back, you can really see the true state of it. But all that will be sorted out. And obviously this will all be scenic all up here. The idea that the bank will just carry on down there and there will be trees along there. I am contemplating this road here actually goes somewhere, and on the real new mills it actually travels along. So I'm thinking of having it come down a slope here and then disappear through there and come out sort of stop at that point really, so it looks as if it just disappears. But that's on my thoughts, so let me know what you reckon to that. I am going to be using trees in this section for the scenic breaks, so there will be some slightly taller ones as well. And I am going to get rid of the back scene style, so it opens the layout up but still creates the separate zones that I set up ages ago. Anyway, so I think for this video I'm going to leave it there. I am going to be doing some more over the next few days because I am on some Christmas holidays now, so I've got a few days to work on the layout. So hopefully I'll be able to get some bits done. It depends on what happens, as I said at the beginning of the video. But anyway, we'll see what goes on, and hopefully I'll see you very, very soon here on Piccadilly. So take care of yourself. Bye for now.